The all-powerful God chose to partially limit his power by giving us a free will.
We were never, in fact, free in the first place. Free will does not exist. The ability to do whatever you want can hardly be called freedom if you can't freely choose what it is that you want. And Schopenhauer illustrates this with an example. He says that as well as the material external constraints and impediments that Hobbes mentions, sometimes our actions are restricted by what Schopenhauer calls moral constraints. And he gives the example of a threat. Okay, say someone threatens you with assault, saying that if you commit action X, they'll beat you up, and that this compels you to not commit action X. Did you make this choice freely? I think most people would say no, including perhaps Thomas Hobbes, who would probably see someone threatening you as an external constraint upon your will, making it not a free decision. But what is a threat? Right? If I say to you that if you commit action X, I'll beat you up, you still could commit action X, and I would beat you up. Right? The reason the threat is successful is simply because you don't want to be beaten up, or at least because you want to be beaten up less than you want to commit action X. But did you choose this? No, you didn't choose to want one more than the other, you just do. You couldn't simply decide to want to be beaten up. It doesn't work like that. The threat is successful because you can't help but not want to be beaten up. And so your action has been restricted by this desire, this want that you have internally. But this is exactly the process that happens inside our own minds every time we ever make a decision.
I am a slave of time.
Right, when I decide to put that money in the bank, for instance, it's because I want financial security more than I want, say, cash in my wallet. Did I choose to want one more than the other? No, and I couldn't even if I tried. I don't choose to want to deposit the cash. I simply do want to deposit it, and then, like a slave to my own desires, I do what I want. Now, for the compatibilist, this is freedom, because I've done what I want. But I didn't control what I wanted. I was compelled by what I wanted. To say that you can do whatever you want is to say you can do anything so long as it's this specific thing over which you have no control in determining. Some freedom.
Right, this idea that we are just material objects, brains, and the only activity that's occurring in there is physical activity in your physical brain, rather than immaterial thoughts in your immaterial mind. They deny mind, they deny free agency.
How exactly do we make choices? God is necessary for these thoughts.
If God existed, we'd still be big bags of meat wandering around in a universe that's either determined or contains some randomness, both of which by definition we have no control over. Now you might say that if God exists, then we could have a soul, and maybe free will somehow exists in there. But you can believe in a soul and still be an atheist, and even if we have a soul and the soul determines our actions, we run into the exact same problems as saying that the brain determines our actions. As long as we can't ultimately control what it is that our soul desires, we can't be free.